Good morning and welcome. Welcome indeed to a Friday edition of the Mark Moses Show. We're now joined by five gentlemen here in Brevard County who joins me all the time on the radio, but we got to make this digital now moving forward. And we've been working on this behind the scenes for weeks now. He is my great friend, surfing coach Sean Hayes, and we're going to bring you the weekend surfing report. Coach, how you doing today, buddy?
Good, Mark. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, it's going great. I've known you for a couple years, but for our viewers who don't know, tell us about your background surfing here in Brevard County.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. My name is Sean Hayes. I've lived here my whole life. Been surfing since I was 7 years old, since the '60s, believe it or not, when things were a lot simpler. And I've done basically construction my whole life. Started teaching at Palm Bay High School for several years, and now I'm just kind of semi-retired. And I've been coaching surfing for about 16 years between Mel High, Satellite High, and Cocoa Beach High. And I also coach golf and tennis at Palm Bay High, and also West Shore Junior Senior High. And I'm just trying to enjoy life now, Mark, and do my thing, man. And I got a couple injuries that's keeping me out of the water right now, but I'll be back. And I want to try and be ready to surf in January. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
You know what? You know what made me laugh when you said, yeah, things were simpler then. Then you went into all the different jobs you've had where you
Yeah,
have so many
yeah.
hats. You're coaching this, you're doing that. Dude, you're a busy man. You really are.
Yeah, simple days are over, brother.
Yeah,
Especially with a daughter in med school. So
I understand. Let's go to an obvious question then for Mr. Surfer here. Why do you love to surf, especially here in Brevard County, buddy?
I'll tell you, man. My dad, my late father, Jack. He was a good man. When I was young, I started surfing in the '60s. My brother Gene taught me how to surf, and it was back then. It was during the time when surfers had a bad rep for smoking pot and being hippies and all that. And my dad, he being a hillbilly from West Virginia, he didn't understand the lifestyle. I had to fight him tooth and nail over the years, but it's basically it's its own lifestyle, man. I mean, if you ever meet surfers, most every surfer are happy. They're happy go lucky people. They're enjoying life, and to be able to enjoy this sport is actually one of the greatest things you could ever do, man. And it's kind of like golf and tennis, and there's a few sports that you play in high school that you can continue doing when you're out of when you start to get older. I got friends that are in their 70s that are still ripping, and like Bob Freeman, and there's Melody DeCarlo. There's a lot of people that they're still surfing, man. And it's a great thing. And what I'm getting back to is my dad. When his last year, he confessed to me that he wishes that he would have embraced it more and started surfing with me, even though when he was in his probably 30s or late 30s when he moved here from West Virginia. So that was actually a good thing for me, because it was one of those things where I just it was a battle. And nowadays these parents, they're so involved, man. It's become such a kind of a mainstream sport where there's actual money to be made at it. So that's kind of how things have changed and evolved. There's it's an industry now. If whether you're a professional surfer, or you can go into the industry and and be a sales rep, or work selling boards, making surfboards. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So yeah.
I know your dad would be proud of you where you're still doing it today. And then especially you give back to the next generation where you're teaching these kids out there. And we've talked about this on my radio show in years past where, even Caroline Marks, who, you knew. And I know, look, I know it must mean a lot to you where your dad said that to you. So thanks for sharing that story, buddy. That's a cool one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Caroline, man, she's the best, man. She's just touch on her real quick. She's very humble young lady. She's best surfer in the world. I mean, gold medalist now. Has come runner up twice as a world champion and has won the world championship. So, she's consistent. It's kind of a different the way they do the WSL now. They only take the top 5 for the final contest. So someone who could be, and she almost did it. She literally came in the 5th ranked position, and had to surf all those heats all the way up to the final, and it was at Teopu in Tahiti where she won her gold medal, and she surfed through all those heats. Actually, I'm sorry, it wasn't Teopu. It was in Fiji at Cloud Break, which is kind of similar to the Chopu wave, and so it was heavy, it was big, and it was gnarly, and she made it all the way to the final and almost won it. But the girl who won it, she didn't have to surf one heat up to that point, so she was fresh, and she basically just beat her, fair and square. So
Yeah, hey, it's okay. I remember that was the Olympics when I think they were in France 2 summers ago, but then the surfing wasn't in France because that makes sense. So it was in
yeah.
another country. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, it's owned by, it's a French Polynesian island, Tahiti.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
by the way, in case you don't know, Sean was also a teacher. Okay. And so maybe I need to go back to geography.
Nah, it's funny. I never made it through college, but
Mhm.
I did go to college, but one of my strongest attributes was geography, and just I knew where everything was because being a surfer, you read surfing magazines nonstop, and they were all over the world, so you knew where everything was.
We're here with Sean Hayes. Yes, surfing coach. He's going to do our surfer report here in a minute. But before we get to that, you talk about this area. You bring up Caroline Marks. She's not even the most famous surfer from this area. We got some guy named Kelly Slater as well. How much pride do you take in Brevard County? Just so much great talent, superstars around the world that come from this area.
Well, people don't realize it, but just Florida alone, has more world championships than anywhere in the world. We have more world championships. Now, granted, Kelly, gave us 11 of those because he's an 11-time world champion. And unfortunately for him, they didn't start the Olympics until after his career was pretty much done. He probably would have given them a run for their money at that wave if he was able to surf in it, because that's probably one of the his strongest attributes are surfing giant waves like that. He's a 7-time pipe master at Pipeline in Hawaii. He's won Chopu multiple times. So it's funny because you got him, and then you got the Hobgood brothers who are basic, and then you got the Lopez brothers from the west coast of Florida, and they dominated these giant gnarliest waves in the world. They coming from Florida where we get, our average is a 3 to 4 foot wave throughout the year. I mean, this past week we had epic surf from the 2 hurricanes, but that comes every couple years, when we get that. So it's just funny how we have the best surfers in the world, and
Okay,
people.
Okay, I have to ask then. I'm going to cut you off. I apologize. Have you been in the water with Kelly Slater before for surfing?
Multiple times. Yes, multiple times. I have actually a pretty cool story if you want me to tell you
Yeah,
about it in Hawaii. I,
go
I was in the Army, and my friend Wilton Jordan came to visit me, and he wanted to go surf Pipeline. So I said, all right, let's go. So I brought a little bit bigger board because I knew it was going to be a little bit bigger. And we went to the North Shore, and it was about, they call it like 4 to 6 feet, but that's more like 8 to 12 feet. And there was nobody out, and him and I paddled out, and it was backdoor pipe, and it wasn't that great, but it was still really good. And we were out there for about an hour, and I wasn't surfing very well, and he was struggling because he had a smaller board. So we were sitting out there, and we saw these 4 guys getting ready to paddle out. So this would have been in probably 1989, and it was Kelly Slater, Tom Kern, who was 4-time world champion, uh, Sonny Garcia, who was a world champion, and then one of the Gudakis brothers from California. And Kelly, I think he was 18 years old then, if I'm not mistaken. And the four of them paddled out, and Wilton and I were in awe of these four guys. They were best surfers in the world. And I looked at Wilton. I said, "Here, take my board. I'm going in. I'm going to watch this." And that was, and then Kelly broke his board, came in, and we sat and talked because, he knew who I was because he grew up here, and we just sat and talked for about a half an hour, and then he left, and then I've surfed with him at the inlet a few times. So yeah, it's cool to watch.
That is awesome, dude. And in case you don't know this, I've had a running thing for years where we got to get Kelly Slater on the show. We have to. We've had Caroline on, who's amazing. Love it.
Yeah.
I'll repost that in case you never got to hear that. Love talking with Caroline Marks. She is awesome. Yeah, the big fish is to get Kelly Slater on.
We'll work on that. I'm good friends with his stepdad, Bruce, so I can ask Bruce if maybe he can get in touch with you. But yeah, Kelly's cool, man. He's a good guy.
No, you're a cool guy. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. All right. So going into this weekend, what do you look for when you're like, all right, I'm going to put this surfing report together? I know you do a great job working with the wavecaster.com. I know that's a good friend of yours. All right. When you look at, all right, I'm going to put a surfing report together. How do you put it together, Sean?
All right. Well, Steve Moldenhauer, who is the founder of the wavecaster.com. And if you guys, we do the report and we do it on the weekend, but through the rest of the week, it can change. In Florida, the reports can change quickly.
Yeah.
I would suggest going on to his website, thewavecaster.com, checking it out. He updates it every day unless he goes on vacation, which he's been doing a lot of lately, but he's usually on it every single day, takes pictures, shows you what the conditions are, gives you about a 5-day forecast. But I use his, and I also use Windfinder, which, when I go offshore fishing, I like to use that one because that gives you like you're more of a period, what the period of the swell is. It's accurate too. So between the two of them, I go through both of them, and you can also check out Surf Guru. Has a live video, like it's update. It's live,
Yep.
so you.
Yeah. I see what you're
So
saying with the different cameras. And I
sure,
like you said, he's taking vacation all the time. I can see in your voice. I can hear it. Yeah. Why am I not taking more vacations? Why am I
yeah.
working?
That's because I'm in med school, Mark.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. You personally. It's a team effort here with Coach. Okay,
It
man.
is.
All right. Tell us about surfing for the weekend then, buddy.
All right. Well, looks like it's going to be big. The weather's just not really that great. I mean, I don't even think it's going to be good for golfing because it's windy. It's supposed to rain a lot this weekend, but the waves are huge. I mean, if that wind starts clocking out of the southeast, then you can head down south to an area where you got a jetty that protects you from the wind, and then even further south than that to Wabasso, right there where Wabasso Bridge is. That's a good spot for when it's big, and but it's a high tide spot. So I don't like to give away too much information on the spots because my buddies will all get mad at me. But yeah.
See, that's what's so fascinating with you. So it's like the surfer's code. All right. I've seen Point Break. I know what's going on here. Because when I get Damon on, who we both know with Space Fish, fishing is different. You'll just tell everyone. You'll blurt out, hey, go here, go here, go here. But with you guys, oh no.
Yeah.
Some of it has to be a secret. Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting too old to be in fights. I don't want to get beat up at the inlet, so I got to be careful.
But like you will say, okay, low tide, high tide, and then you will tell the weather, the wind. So that part you can tell people. So go for it then.
Yeah, well, it's going to be well overhead all week, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now, when you get that far out, that's what I'm going to tell you to go check out Steve's website, thewavecaster.com, because he'll update it, every day. But with this fetch of wind that we're having out of the northeast, it's it's gonna be big and it's gonna be choppy. Basically, we call it victory at sea. It's just huge, giant, choppy waves. Now, I was watching the weather report earlier with Cassandra Kimmy. I like her. Was spotting. There's two little systems that's coming off. It's coming across the Atlantic. It says it's got 40% chance, and then there's one literally right off the Bahamas. It's only going to be like 10%, but it's probably one of the reasons why we're getting all this choppy surf. So keep an eye on that especially the one that's right off the Bahamas. If that one slides up through the week, it might switch that wind out of the southeast. So that could make my one favorite spot probably a really good place to surf.
Okay, so I made a graphic. I don't think we're working on this. This is our first time trying this. All right, so here's my terrible graphic that I was working on. All right, so here's a surfing forecast. So Sean is going to try to bring this up where, all right, I'm going to make this look bigger here, where he's got the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You could see it on screen. He was just talking about it with the swell being overhead, 15 to 20 miles an hour here, east, northeast winds here on a Friday, 20 to 25 coming up on Saturday. And you can see for Sunday, we will put more information on here moving forward. So I'm going to take this off here as you can see it for a minute. But if I bring us back up, tell us then about, okay, I believe there's some movie going on this weekend, buddy. I don't know if you can see me. What's the movie coming up this weekend we need to check out?
All right, it's the Bethany Hamilton movie. It's going to be really inspirational. She's an amazing young lady. Everybody knows who she is. I don't have to tell you who she is. If you're around a TV, you know who Bethany Hamilton is. She's basically the girl that got her arm bit off by a tiger shark in Kauai several years ago, and she's an inspiration, man. She doesn't stop, and so it's. I don't think she's going to be there, but it's basically a movie premiere for her, and it's at the Surfside Playhouse in
Mm.
Cocoa Beach. So check it out. It's and all the proceeds are going towards the National Kidney Foundation surf contest, which is next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend, and we'll talk about that next week too. But I think that starts on Thursday, so I don't mind promoting it now. And Savannah Lanza and her dad, they run it and they do a great job, and it's a great benefit for the Kidney Foundation and the Salick brothers. They're amazing men, and the one brother died from kidney failure, and so his other brother's running it, and he's always there, and he's a legend. I mean, they're both legends, and so there'll be a lot of pro surfers there. I know that probably Corey Howe will be there, William Heddleston, a lot of the up and coming kids like Teddy Whittleman. There's going to be a lot of good surfers there. I don't have a list of the pros
That's
that will
okay.
be,
That's okay.
but
Well, here's what we'll do. We're gonna
Chauncey Robinson, he'll probably be surfing it. So Tommy Coleman, they'll all be in, and they're very high level professional surfers, and they win a lot of contests. So get out there; that'll be fun to watch. And there's going to probably be big waves for that. I think it's going to
okay.
be good.
Why does everyone have a cooler name than me? All these names you're rattling off, they're all cooler than they
It's
really.
all good. You got a cool name, man. You're
Yeah,
Moses, man.
I know. Mine's too biblical for people after a while.
Yeah,
It
I
is.
like them. I like you, Moses.
All right. Here's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna post everything, all these links through our Facebook and my website, markmoseyshow.com, so you can get more information. Right, we're gonna do all of that, so you can check that out once this is posted. And here's the key. We'll end with this, and I appreciate you coming on, Sean.
Sure, man.
Here's what we're going to do. If you have a surfing photo or a story you want to share with us or a video, email me. I will post those links and we will go over it moving forward. All right. Because I know, Sean, we won't show him today. We'll show him next Friday. Right. Sean's got some killer photos that he wants to share with us. Is
I
this
got some photos. I got my friend Art. He's sending to me some great ones of, and he's my age, and the guy absolutely rips the bag out of these waves when he's out there. He's still a highly competitive surfer, even with all his aches and pains. He can still tear it up with the
I
young ones.
all right, and we'll end with this. What's the shirt we're wearing, buddy? What
Villain.
Oh,
Villain Clothing, man. They're local. Mark Quinvillan, everybody Beachside knows Mark. He's a great guy, and they usually have a surf contest every year. This is actually from one of the contests that I've always announced it every year. I'm the head announcer there, and I get a free T-shirt for doing it.
there you
So
go. Hey,
that's
that's how you pay Sean. So
that's
I
right.
have to give you T-shirts moving forward. All right, that's what we're gonna do. Yeah,
Yep.
we will link everything online, more info. And if you'd like to get in contact with Sean about surfing, I will put his contact info on there as well.
Please do.
Yes. Coach, thank you so much for your help and have a great weekend.
Have a good one, Mark. Thanks, everybody.